The views and opinions expressed by the guests, callers, and hosts on this and all Rense Radio Network programs do not necessarily reflect or agree with those of the network, its commercial sponsors, its radio station affiliates, or internet broadcast platforms. In these controversial times, we believe the First Amendment and freedom of the press are absolutely essential to the survival of our nation. Thank you. And now, enjoy the program.
Okay, and welcome back. It is another day, and hopefully another dollar or two for you. We are sitting in the month of May on the 18th, Monday, and our first guest tonight is a monthly regular, and always happy to talk to Texe because we learn something. This man is literally a library of knowledge and wisdom. He just doesn't have...
control the textbooks then, but they spoke very highly of Abraham Lincoln. He was in every textbook, and he was a big hero.
Yeah, sure.
Even in the South, it seems like somebody had control of the textbooks. But certainly, the Democrats still control the politic system, and all the Democrats were in charge down south. And there was, of course, there was. It wasn't really slavery, but it was pretty near it. I remember all the water fountains in the department stores. They had black water fountain. They would call it colored, and then a water fountain for the whites.
Even water
with a sign on it, whites only.
Wow.
This was true. In fact, the restrooms, the blacks might have a little restroom around back of a restaurant. The whites would have the main restroom. So there was discrimination, no doubt about it. And I remember driving through Beaumont, Texas, where I lived in that area, and the black area was, extremely poor, and I felt very sorry for the blacks. And my dad himself was very much he was let's just say he was more of a progressive than anything else, okay? But he didn't go for abortion or gay rights or things like that, but he did believe that every man was equal, and he always treated, if he'd heard me saying the word nigger, he would have really got upset at me. In fact, he told me, treat every person as a human being, and you'll get along well. So yeah. I've always done that. And when the kids at school would say something about the blacks, I always rush to defend them. So I've never been in any trouble there because I've always believed in equality. But now the Civil War does not have much to do with equality, I found. And amazingly, there's misconception, lies, scandals, everywhere you turn. But let me just say this now. I want to make a proposal to people. I believe that Abraham Lincoln was a gay man. He was a homosexual man.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
His historians now say, at that time, you did not speak of homosexuality. It was like the plantation. Now, remember, this is the guy. He was the second highest official of the South, and he was a Jew. He's been called the brain of the Confederacy.
Got it.
The brain of the Confederacy. He was a Sephardic Jew, which is the same as Rothschild, was also a Sephardic Jew.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew Rothschild very well.
Ah, there we go again,
yes,
folks.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he visited Europe several times during the war. He had secret journeys where he met various people, especially in Paris, France, where they had the Grand Orient Lodge. His wife left him at an early age. He married let's just say he was not a rich man. He went to Yale University. He got in somewhere or another, but he quit Yale. He was accused of gambling and other crimes, and he left Yale University without graduating. But he lucked off and met a very rich woman named Natalie in New Orleans, and she was a very wealthy planter from a planter family, plantation, and he married her, and she was very wealthy, and thus Judah Benjamin gained his great wealth from his wife. He had a couple children, but his wife left him because he was gay. And all the rumors began, and such and such, but he was gay, and she said she couldn't tolerate that, and she left. They were close friends for the rest of their lives, but he would travel to Paris, France, sometimes to see her, and so. But he also became the first Jewish man to become a U.S. senator from the original United States. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a senator, the first Jew to become a senator because of this great wealth that he had from his Catholic wife.
Well, it's like Disraeli in the Parliament in England, the first Jew to walk into Parliament as a full-fledged MP.
Now I wonder. We'll have to look up and see Disraeli's what year period he was. That was in the 1800s, of course.
And I just don't know. I don't know what. Did you read The Real Lincoln by Thomas DiLorenzo?
No, I didn't read that.
That is a book you really should look at. It is staggering because he reveals, he exposes the real Lincoln. It's called The Real Lincoln. And the foul-mouthed man, his use of the N-word, they had to clean his speech up astonishingly, and many of the other things he did that were very unorthodox and unusual. He was very much interested in the paranormal and was allegedly at one meeting with one young woman who was a clairvoyant, and apparently she was able to lift the table up remotely without touching it.
That was very popular back then.
Yes, it was. Parlor entertainment back then. Hold on just a second. We'll come right back with Texe in just a minute. Okay, I'm back with Texe, learning things about the Civil War that you probably never would have dreamed of. Now, I want to again remind you, Thomas DiLorenzo, The Real Lincoln. You must read that if you have time and if you're into reading at all. I'm not asking you to believe everything that Mr. DiLorenzo has put in that book. I'm asking you to consider it. It is absolutely extraordinary and will give you a whole different perspective on history as we are taught it in our phony government schools with their phony curricula. And this is a real portrait of a real man. It's not to demean his abilities, whatever they may have been, in whosever eyes they may have been beheld. But he was not the man of the motion pictures. Go ahead, Texe.
Well, I was thinking during the break about Lincoln. He was a tyrant, no doubt about it. and he suspended a lot of the Constitution during that period. He instituted the draft, and people could pay their way out of the draft. They could pay somebody else to go, and that seemed very unfair to me. But the rich didn't have to go at all. They just paid the poor to go in their place, and that was perfectly legal. These are the kind of things that would turn you against Lincoln. On the other end, of course, he did not win his first term. He did not win a majority, he won a majority, but he didn't win over half the vote. I think it was only like 40% or something like that. But it's interesting to me, though, that he was against the Rothschild banking faction, and he was against the imposition of religious, let's just say, servitude by the Catholic Church. That was very big in America, growing at that time. And he fought. He had a very famous court case, for a former Catholic priest named Chiniquy, and he was Chiniquy's attorney, and won that case. And so the Catholics determined they were going to get Jackson. He also was against the Freemasons. Freemasons today admit that Lincoln was one of the few people that was not a Mason, but they said he was planning to join right after the war was over. Of course, he died, so that he couldn't join.
Right.
But I believe he was definitely opposed to the Masons, and he was the guy who had Albert Pike, the Sovereign Grand Commander. He had him pegged, and that's why Pike ran off to Canada to hide. For all these things, he came out with the greenback. He came out with the greenback at the time, which bypassed all of the banks. Up until that time, even Andrew Jackson, for just a short while as president, had made the Rothschild faction and the banks back down. But they came in shortly after that again. So it was only for a few years that Andrew Jackson had won over the bankers. But he needed more money, and his Secretary of the Treasury and War said, well, why don't we just start issuing our own money without paying interest to the banks and such? And they did, and it was successful. And so the Rothschilds were very angered over this, and they wanted him dead, of course. The Catholic Church was very angry, and they didn't mind him dying as well, I might say. But in fact, Jefferson Davis, there are several historians. They changed it to Russian and shipped him to Russia, where he killed about 30 or 40 million Christians.
Yeah. Another wonderful human being.
I really appreciate your courage, and thank you for your time tonight.
Always. My best, everyone. Talk to you next month.
Okay. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Texe.